WFD TV presents Gentle Giant with Pam Minnick and Katie Kaufman.
Hello and welcome to Gentle Giants. This week we're in the very northern tip of Idaho, just miles from the Canadian border at Parnell Ranch Clydesdales in Sandpoint, Idaho.
Jack and Michelle Parnell have built their dream home and barns here in the gorgeous countryside, and they are passionate about the Clydesdales they raise here. They're eager to open their gates and share their Gentle Giants with visitors to Parnell Ranch.
And then later in the show we'll introduce you to some of their neighbors, talented artists who love to capture the Clydesdales in their artwork. We sure enjoyed the time we spent here. Jack grew up in California, where his love for horses began as a boy. Jack has spent his lifetime loving Clydesdales and serving the agricultural industry.
Of course, I was raised on a farm, and we used horses. And when I was a little boy, I always wanted Clydesdales. And if you had gone to the California State Fair, you'd find me leaning on the fence, watching the horses go around the arena, just dreaming that someday I may be able to own one. I didn't think I would, you know, a poor farm boy that probably would be a poor farm boy the rest of his life. But I always wanted Angus cattle and Clydesdale horses. So that was the beginning of my love for Clydesdales, and of course as time went on we were able to, and I guess it was probably 1981, bought our first Clydesdales. By then I had a young family, boys that weren't learning the same kinds of things that I had learned, to drive a team of horses and to work a team of horses. And so I thought probably I would get a team of Clydesdale horses. And a very good friend of mine, Clarence Dudley in California, I called him one day and said, "Clarence, you better go out in the country and buy me a pair of Clydesdale horses." And he did, Duke and Dan. And we just loved them. And of course, like all things, my boys learned to drive, better drivers than I am now. One of them drove our hitch when we were competing with the hitch, and the youngest boy worked for Budweiser for 13 years and drove the West Coast hitch. And so our love for Clydesdale horses just tended to blossom. Once you get one, you want two, and once you get two, you might need four. And once you have four, you might as well have six, and 8 and 10, and you know how that goes. When I had my hitch on the road, how many people would come to me and say, "Gosh, I'd like to do this, but we could never afford it." And you know, it just isn't true. Anyone can do this who really has the ability to own and care for a horse. And you know, you don't need a $1,000 set of harness or a $10,000 set of harness. All you need is a $500 set of used harness. It's the way I started. You know, we were talking about old Duke and Dan, but they were just good old workhorses, but a good pair of horses. And we went to shows with them, so I kind of got rigged up to show them, almost like the big boys. And we just had so much fun, the entire family, getting them ready and going, and win, lose, or draw, they were our horses, and we were proud of what we did. And you know, anyone today who has the ability to own a horse, any horse, they can own a Clydesdale, and they are the most wonderful pets. I don't care if you want to drive them, if you want to stand them in the front lawn and just look at them, or you know, if you do drive them, chances are, as time goes by, you'll want another one. And then, like I did, anyone can own these wonderful horses. And I just thank God every single day that we're the custodians of these horses. And the young people that come into this ranch almost every week, and you can see the excitement in their voice, see the excitement on their face when they just get to touch one of them. And they could do that too. They could own one too if they just knew it. So if there's a message that should ring clear, is that anyone can do this.
I think the goal for the Parnell Ranch is to convey to the public that you don't have to have 8 horses. You don't have to have a big fancy hitch wagon. You can have 1 horse and 1 cart, or just have a horse and pet it every day and love it. And it's a fun thing to have around, and you don't have to have the big fancy stuff to be in the Clydesdale business and enjoy it as much as we do here. Good boy. Good boy. He's cute. Come over here and say hi.
You look up Michelle, and she's a beautiful partner and a great horse lady, a great horsewoman, and with a passion for Clydesdales like no other. And that's part of the fun of this.
When we return, we'll get to know Michelle Parnell as she shares her passion for Clydesdales and this beautiful Idaho ranch.
Stay with us. Welcome back to Gentle Giants. Michelle Parnell also grew up in California near the Grass Valley Fairgrounds and the popular draft horse show.
A mutual love of horses brought Jack and Michelle together. It was a match made in Clydesdale heaven.
I lived across the street from the fairgrounds where the Draft Horse Classic was started. I was in the quarter horse world, and I used to sneak over and watch them set up for the big show, and fell in love with the Belgians, funny enough. So eventually, over time, I ended up buying some weanling Belgian colts, and that was how I was introduced into the draft horse world. I started a horse-drawn carriage service in Grass Valley, Nevada City. So I worked it for 6 years and learned a lot and provided a lot of service to the public, made a lot of little kids happy, made a lot of lasting memories, and that's how I met Jack and the Parnell Ranch. The Parnells had a hitch of Clydesdale geldings and everything that went along with it, and 4 generations of family that worked it together. And I was just amazed and impressed as I watched each generation take part in showing a Clyde hitch. It was just magical. The public wander in all the time. Some of them call, some of them email, but the answer 9 times out of 10 is yes, and come on in. And so it makes a difference in people's lives. If you're older and you were raised with horses and you're not around them anymore, just the smell more people talk about leather and sweat, and you'd offer to wash their hands when they're leaving, and they don't want to because they just love the smell of a horse. And the little kids are mesmerized. They've never been around anything that big in their life. They've never seen all this harness and equipment and the wagons, and even the little boys, if they're not into the horses, they love the tractors. So when people come here, they are satisfied. It doesn't matter what part of the barn they're in or what horse they meet. They leave here wanting to come back. Well, horses are diverse, and whether you want to ride one or drive one or use one in the police force or write English, they could do all kinds of different things, the Clydesdales in particular. Now, they might not be the best in the world at it, but they have a pretty good mind on them, and they can be safe, so to speak. So we have had some horses out of here that have gone in different places, and really the important part is if you can raise a horse and it can grow up and it can get a job, and whether that's in the front yard of somebody's house or kids petting it in a hospital or a mounted patrol, I mean, I think that's successful. We have the capacity to have about 40 head here semi-comfortably and not be too crowded. Every horse is spoiled. They have shade and a covering and a place to turn out and heated waters, and we have timers on our lights so that we can cycle the mares early, and there really is a lot that goes into it. Heated tack rooms and the lab. So it's been thought out a lot, and you're never going to get something perfect the first time, but we just keep trying. He was purchased about 3 months old and flown over and raised in the state of California at the time. And so I just felt that I knew I wanted to collect him and start a breeding program with him as the center point of it. So it's taken 10 years to get to this point of where we are now, and he has the best disposition. He is a halter horse, old style halter horse, and his genetics you can count on. He passes them on readily. So he is part of the family, which is obvious, and we're excited to have a group of his daughters as our brood mare band. And then we have bought another stallion to go on them. So it's fun, it's exciting. The horses are very personable. So we put him right across from the front of the house, and he has a special place in our heart. He can smell coffee. He smells the coffee and he comes over and he'll be waiting there, and I don't care if it's snowing or raining or sleeting. He's waiting for his apple. The kids know him. He has his own fan base. People come over with their carrots and things just for him. He's just been part of this family for a long time, and he's really a good guy. I mean, you could ride him, you could drive him, you can collect him. There's not much you can't do with him. And it's just, that's a nice thing to have.
Our house isn't very far from the barn where we foal these mares, and we have foal alerts in our mares. You know, when that thing pops apart and she starts into labor, it's going to call my cell phone and said, "Wake up, Jack, you're about to have a filly." That's what it says. And so we rush to the barn, and usually by that time she's far enough along in labor that we're seeing a pair of feet and maybe a nose poking out. So every horse on this ranch, with the exceptions of the ones that we bought, we were the first things they saw on cold, frosty mornings.
When we return, we'll get a look behind the scenes at art in the making with two very different Idaho artists.
One is a cartoonist, the other is a fine oil painter. Stay with us. Gentle Giants will return in just a moment. Welcome back to Gentle Giants. The Parnells enjoy opening the gates of their ranch and sharing these beautiful horses with visitors and friends.
Two of those neighbors are amazing artists who have made lasting impressions on Jack and Michelle with their art and the creations featuring these Clydesdales.
Especially their beautiful stallion, Ramsey.
Bonnie Shields, who's a Western artist of note. She does a lot of leaning tree work. A lot of cards, if you'll notice, have Bonnie Shield pictures on them. She's known as the mule artist and is funnier than any lady I've ever met in my life.
And I'm a founding member of the Cowboy Cartoonist International, which is a group of professional cowboy cartoonists. And we're kind of unique, I think we are. Looky here, Ramsey. What do you think? Huh? I'd rather eat the flowers.
Ramsey is Michelle's favorite of all time. And so I thought it appropriate for Christmas to have a painting done of Ramsey, and there's 3 paintings there actually. Janine Grundy is a great portrait artist.
I just knew every stroke to put on these horses because the horse itself was so magnificent. It's almost like everybody around and the horse itself helped me paint this picture.
Draft horses are wonderful, and you can talk for hours about how wonderful they are and why but you know, they taught us to laugh together, to cry together, to compete and not care whether you won or lost. You competed and we were proud of what we did, and it kept our family a very tight-knit unit for all of these years. And you know, for kids to be involved with horses, particularly girls, but boys too, if they can get involved and have the responsibility of caring for something, it gets their mind off
You can do it. The book is available at Barnes & Noble, at Amazon, or locally at Kioki Books in Sandpoint. It will make a perfect gift for a horse-crazy youngster in your life.
We want to thank each and every one of you for watching Gentle Giants this week. Pam and I had a great time in Idaho and visiting with Jack and Michelle Parnell.
This ranch is truly beautiful. The log home, the log barns, it really is a showplace, and they love to have visitors. And don't forget to pick up their book about Ramsey. We also have to give a shout out to them for everything they do to promote the Clydesdale breed. They truly are icons in the industry. Join us right back here next week for Gentle Giants.
Or in the meantime, you can always see what we're up to on our Facebook page.
Bye now.